Hello, this is Jordan with Coffee Reviews, and today we'll be reviewing Day 4 of KaffeBox's Advent Calendar, featuring the Navidad Washed Colombia from Coffea Circulor. There's the container right there. Okay, let's read a little bit from the Instagram post from KaffeBox, and it says, Coffea Circulor was founded in 2010 by Thor Andre Thorsen, and has a nice little list of accolades that he has received in regards to some Norwegian roasting championships. So, a pretty well recognized Norwegian coffee roaster, it looks like. And they're based out of Arendal, Norway, which is, well, I've never heard of this coffee roaster. I've never heard of that part of Norway, so I'm going into this one pretty blind. But one thing I did do was I looked at their website, and they have an extremely impressive list of coffee options. So that's probably the best thing I can say so far about this coffee roaster is if you're looking for one with a huge variety, plenty of options, then definitely check out their website, because I was kind of blown away by how many options they actually had and how many things you could purchase from them. So full credit and kudos to them for having such a wide variety of coffees. But we're here to talk about this one, so let's talk about it. Now, given that I'm going into all of these coffees blind, I can say without question that so far this has been the most interesting cup of coffee I've had. And my grad school professor used to say that's the biggest compliment you can give somebody or something. It was strange. So when I opened the container, it smelled like chocolate, and when I first took a sip, it definitely tasted like chocolate. But there were a lot of things I was getting that I was kind of confused by. So the first was it was pretty woody, and then I was getting a taste that I couldn't quite distinguish, but I knew I had had it in some coffee before. But this combination of these kind of more unique flavors, like it was a pretty distinct and notable dark chocolate, and it was pretty woody. I've had a barrel-aged coffee before from Water Avenue in Portland, and I could taste a little bit of woodiness that was coming from that coffee. This was a little bit more prominent. But I want to focus on that third thing because it was like almost rooty kind of spice, something I definitely had in a coffee before. I just couldn't pick it out with my palate. When I looked on their website, they mentioned that it has this flavor note of ginger. I'm like, okay, that's what I'm missing. It's ginger. There was a black and white coffee earlier this year, an anaerobic process, that just tasted wildly like ginger that I couldn't drink. But that being said, the ginger in this coffee was a lot more pleasant than that one was. That one was a little over the top. This was pretty prominent in the coffee. Those three things were prominent: the chocolate, the ginger, and the wood flavor. As it's cooled down though, it's become an extremely well-balanced cup of coffee. None of those things are overly prominent now. When it was at its peak temperature, when I was drinking it, I want to say probably at like 150, 155-ish. That's probably when you were getting those pretty wild, pretty bold flavors. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and put up the tasting wheel right now so you can see what I was getting. And this is definitely a unique map. I have not had a map that looks like this, a tasting wheel that looks like this from any of my coffees so far. Spiciness is probably the highest I've ever rated any sort of coffee, and that was from that kind of vegetal root flavor that turned out to be that ginger. Saltiness, because I did get a tiny bit of nuttiness in this coffee. I got some very, very slight orange, so that's why the citrus fruit does have a 2, but other than that, the chocolate as high as possible. I mean, this was a really chocolatey coffee. Other than that, pretty well balanced, not a whole lot of fruitiness in this coffee. So that explains there is some orange aroma and orange acidity. I didn't even see that before I started recording this video. Anyway, interesting coffee overall. Definitely not my flavor profile. I think people that have seen enough of my videos know that I typically am not the biggest chocolate person, and I actually really strongly dislike ginger. But overall, I actually didn't mind this coffee. I think that for a one-off, a single cup of coffee, if I was in Norway and this is what they served me, I'd be happy. I'd be like, this is different and it's really well done. And this is what I keep saying about a lot of these Scandinavian coffee roasters and a lot of stuff from KaffeBoxes. Their coffees are really well done. You don't get a lot of these negative effects that I get from so many American coffee roasters. And me just flat out not liking the taste is not a indictment on this coffee roaster either. It's just not my flavor profile. People I would suggest this cup of coffee to is anybody that does like overly chocolatey coffee, and anybody that I don't know if there's anybody that loves the taste of ginger in their coffee, but anybody that likes something that's wild, bold, while at the same time just being a washed Colombian coffee. Because this right here definitely has some standout flavors, especially at first. I'm curious to see what other coffees I might get from them, because given how well this is done, I'm sure their other coffees are just as good, and maybe one of the other ones is a little bit more my profile. But I'll leave it at that. If you've tried coffee from them or this coffee, please let me know what you thought as well. If you're enjoying the content, give this a like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I still have, what is it, 20, wow, 1 more days of coffee? 20 more days of coffee? All right. This has been a review of the washed Colombia Navidad from Circulor Coffee. Circulor Coffee. Coffea Circulor. Thank you for watching.